Welcome to the Business Authors Show. I'm Danielle Hampson, and business writing is the topic I will be discussing with my guest, Paul Lima, the author of Harness the Business Writing Process. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Based in Toronto, Canada, Paul Lima has worked as a professional writer, communicator, and writing instructor for over 25 years. Paul is the author of a whole bunch of books on writing, Tend to be Precise, and on the business of writing, including, of course, Harness the Business Writing Process. But writing for business is very different from writing a novel or a biography, for example. You describe business writing as a process. How is that process?
That's correct. Business writing is a process that you have to start by planning, and then you have to do your research, organize your thoughts, write, and then edit. You're going to engage in that process whether you follow it systematically or not. So you have to go through all of those component parts. So by planning or preparing, you think of your target audience, you think of your purpose, what you need to say to capture their attention. Then you do your research, so you gather all the information you need. You organize your thoughts. Literally, I suggest creating an outline. And then you write from point to point to point and leave revision, editing, and proofreading for the very end.
Now, a lot of people will say, well, that sounds like a lot of work. What's wrong with me just sitting down and start writing?
Well, once again, if you just sit down with a blank screen in front of you and start writing, your brain is going to try to do all of that. You're going to be thinking about your audience as you're actually writing. You're going to find research gaps, and you have to stop your writing. If you're not organized, if you don't have the points you want to cover, you don't have a roadmap in front of you, so you may get lost. And if you're writing, if you have grammar check and spell check turned on, so you see those red and green squiggles in your Word document under so-called mistakes, you'll actually stop writing and try to correct something, so you'll interfere with your train of thought. University studies, a study at the University of Toronto, has demonstrated that writers who follow the process save anywhere from 20% to 200% more time, and they're more effective. So by following the process, prepare, research, organize, write, and then edit, you're going to be a more effective writer. You're also going to be a more efficient writer.
Now, I noticed that you said when you start staring at your blank screen in the old days, so to speak, which is not that long ago, we used to say stare at a blank piece of paper.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah, pretty much everybody is writing on computer. I actually do some of my planning and organizing actually on paper, with pen and paper. It just feels a little more organic, but then I move my outline points to the computer. And again, before I start to write, I get to organize on the computer the outline points. I make sure I've got all the points I want to cover in the order in which I want to cover them, and then I want to write. Now, some people will say, yeah, but what about a short email message? And for that, I say you still go through the same process. What I do before writing an email is I think who, what, where, when, and why. Who am I writing, and what's my relationship with that person? What am I writing about? What's the topic? Why am I writing? What is my purpose? Because if I don't convey my purpose, then I'm probably not going to get the response I want. Where and when do I need some feedback? Where do I need it? When do I need it? And all of these questions, who, what, where, when, and why, are very important to know even before you write a simple email message. So by jotting down that information on the computer on a sheet of paper, you'll make sure you have every point you want to cover before you write even a short email message.
As you said, we tend to communicate nowadays via email. In fact, most people don't even pick up the phone anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, we communicate in more of a form of like a soundbite form of writing. But if we follow that writing process, as you eloquently put, in some cases, will that not turn people away from reading our own emails?
Well, it's really important to be focused and to be concise. So by answering who, what, where, when, why, you're preparing, you're researching, and you're organizing your thoughts. You still have to write in a concise manner. And what I find is if you do your preparation, research, and organization first, you're less likely to digress. Therefore, your email message will be shorter, it'll be more concise, it'll be more focused. So people turn away from writing that is not focused, that is not concise, that is not coherent. So in my book, Harness the Business Writing Process, I talk about the process, and then I show people ways to apply it to email, to letters, to reports, to web content. So there are little nuances as you change your medium, but you still want to follow the business writing process.
I mentioned earlier that writing for business is, of course, different from writing a novel, but even within business, there's a different way to write. There are different ways, actually, to write. We just talked about email. What about writing for the web, for example? How do you handle the writing task in this case?
That's even more important when you're writing for the web. Conciseness counts. There's a reason why they call them web browsers. People are surfing as opposed to reading, so you don't want to throw a whole lot of words and digressions at them. They'll simply click away from the page, so you need to be concise. You have to be clear as well. What's your message? What is this about? Make sure you're clear, because people aren't going to go digging for meaning. When you're writing for the web, and quite frankly, any other kind of business writing, you're not writing the Da Vinci Code. You don't leave the grand suspense. This is what it's all about for the end. You want people to know up front, and you want to be coherent, which is being as focused as possible. Everything you write should pertain to your purpose. So if you don't know your purpose, your topic, that will not happen. The other thing when you're writing for the web is use subheads. Bold subheads will help people scan through. So every few paragraphs, there should be a subhead, a meaningful subhead as well. Also think about using point form. Again, point form or bullets or numbered points will help people scan through. And literally, when you're using point form or numbered bullets, people's eyes move to one end of the point and they stop at that. They absorb it and then they move to the next point. So there are a whole lot of, I was going to call them tricks, but they're not really tricks. They're techniques, and they're proven techniques that will help you engage the reader and keep the reader on your page when writing for the web.
How about writing for a blog? Is that any different?
Blogs appear on websites. So if I go to read your blog and I have nothing but a wall of words, no paragraph breaks, no subpoints, bullet points, no subheads, and that, I'm going to psychologically want to click away because I'm just seeing a wall of words. So use paragraphs. Paragraphs give white space. It makes the document easier to read. Subheads let me move quickly through the document because I may not want to read your whole blog post, no matter how important you think it is. I may want to pick up one or two bits of information. Subheads say, here, this is what this section's about, this is what this section is about. And then bullet points let me move quickly through lists and lists of information. When I say to people, again, we're talking about writing nonfiction, we're talking writing in business environments, you need to write with your reader in mind. You want to make the journey as easy as possible for your reader, while still conveying your purpose and getting the feedback that you want. So I don't care if you're writing a long report. A report could be 15, 20 pages. Due to the content, maybe it has to be that long. Or a short email message. Being concise, clear, and coherent is important. Making it as easy as possible for the reader to read is important. And conveying your purpose, and if you need feedback or an action, to stating that is in as clear a manner as possible is extremely important in business writing.
Now, business writing also, of course, includes, for many, writing reports, and that to many is a daunting task. What are some of the biggest flaws in report writing?
Well, if you go back to the writing process, people don't always think about their target audience. What does my audience know? What do they need to know? And think about their purpose. Why am I writing this document? That really helps you focus on conveying the information you need to convey to achieve your purpose. The other thing is, people sometimes, like I edit a lot of reports for companies and businesses and organizations, and if I don't know the purpose on the first page, if I don't know what the report is about on the first page, then I'm confused. Some people like to save the purpose for the end, almost like a punchline of a joke. Well, in business writing, we're not talking about jokes. Give away what this is about and the reason you're writing. Give that away up front, because if that captures my attention, then I'm more inclined to read. Don't leave me in suspense. Also, if I'm a busy executive, maybe all I need to do is read your executive summary and get some sense of what the document is about, and then pass it on to somebody who needs to take action. So I know the 15, 20 pages you wrote, you're very proud, and that writing is very important, but thinking of your reader, not every reader has to read the entire document.